I asked like a guy I worked with, I was like, look, I'm not the best because I hate being called the best. That's like the worst. I'm like, I'm not the best. So what would you call me? He's like, my old boss and coworker. He's like, you're battle tested. You're durable. I go, what? Like an unsinkable battleship. From my like view and everything, the moment I say like four things that I'm doing, and I go into the fifth thing, I start sounding like I'm like a Gemini, and I'll look at myself and be like, you shut the fuck up, you sound like a fucking douche. That's why I usually don't try not to say much. I usually say like two things. I'll say, so what have you done or whatever. And I'll say, I branded the biggest, most luxurious nightclub you'll ever see in your life. And they're Okada in the Philippines. Have you ever seen Okada?
No.
You ever seen the Okada? It's basically the wind.
Shit.
But it's imagine excess.
Yeah.
Excess in the middle. Uncle Bishop wrapped around it, and then a dome.
Oh shit.
I wanted to be a psychologist. That was kind of like, just because I thought I was good at like delegating things and like figuring out people's moods and giving the right answers, personally, just kind of understanding the situation kind of deal. And I applied at all the big schools. So it's like UP, LaSalle, Ateneo, and UST, right? Those are the big four. Applied for UP, failed. Entrance exam. Ateneo, I knew I was going to fail that one, but because that's more of a law school, but failed. LaSalle, failed. And the last one was, University of Santo Tomas, the scary one, right? And when I went there, my parents, I looked at the board. What was their offerings? It said, fine arts, advertising arts, in commercial design. It wasn't even graphic design yet. And it said there, drawing test. Ooh, I'll do that because I suck at spelling. So yeah, it was just a little thing that you had to like draw. I think it was like an ensemble, like so. Did that. Like I was such a deer in the headlights. And when I sat down for the second interview, they're like, "How do you see yourself in 4 years?" I'm like, I gave some like ding dong response, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a house and this and that." No. In your career, do you want to be an art director? Do you want to be this? Oh yeah, I want to be that. Like I had no idea. And then I literally went into haphazard. I mean, I knew I was good at drawing, just didn't really like fully like stick into it. But the moment I walked into my first day of class, the moment I walked into that classroom, there were 40 of me. 40 different people, different disciplines, different styles, all artists drawing. Like, whoa, this is different. Like I usually do. I'm like, oh. Now that kind of kicked in, like, being competitive and being around, because I've never been around like dedicated hours amongst artists, let alone classmates, right? That kind of like changed things. And once I started finding my difference between everybody, I mean, everybody had their style. Some guys doing Dragon Ball, some guys being surreal. Some person was doing like Disney style. So, I came in there, raised in America kind of kid, came in there with skateboard, graffiti / Iron Maiden mentality, the mixture of the three, and that kind of like set me apart, the hip hop guy with the graffiti guy. And from within there, they meet other people. It was a new building at UST. It was called CAFA, College of Architecture and Fine Arts. Yeah, good times. And I don't know the curriculum here in the United States or how it is now, but Philippines, like, they have logic, they have typography. And mind you, I'm from we used to do everything. Oh, we started with typesetting and doing every letter by hand. Yeah, he said it was still commercial design. It was not graphic design yet. So it was still a craft to that level. Everything was basically caveman era for the most part. In 1999, and at the end of 4 years of your course of fine arts, with a degree in fine arts and major in advertising arts, you have your thesis, right? And most people do almost the same kind of template. They'll do a advertising campaign by hand, or they will do like a book launch, or a advertising campaign for XYZ product, right? All by hand. And at the time, it was still like, what was it? Photoshop 2, 1, 2, at that. Illustrator 1, maybe, if you're lucky. And I remember telling my classmates, like, this is the future. Like, in front of the computer, like, this is the future. This is what's going to dictate everything, And it was still MS Paint, and it was like, experimenting that. I mean, our senior year, we had one semester was Photoshop 1, and then 2, and then 3, I believe. Yeah. The first Power Ranger movie came out that time. But yeah, so my thesis was I did an advertising campaign for the Philippine Basketball Association, and I did it all digital. And I basically, if you can picture this, I basically took the inspiration from like Terminator. He walks into the room and Arnold Schwarzenegger, scoping out everybody. You see all the UIs, and how it's scanning the black and white and green. That's basically what I did. Took black and white photos of action shots, whether it be a dunk, layup, typical stuff you find in a sports magazine back in the Philippines, and basically put all those UIs in there. I used Corel Draw. It's a hard program. Yeah, I used Corel Draw. Did a whole advertising campaign. Your teaser, your sustaining ads, your introductory ads, your informative ads, your testimonials, all that. And did it all in digital. The best part about digital is that you don't have to spend a tremendous amount of time. It's highly efficient. I was basically done with my thesis about a week earlier than everybody else. And I started about, I don't know, maybe barely even a month before that, where everyone's doing it for the whole year. I just kind of figured it out. And I really went, balls to the wall. I mean, what was the music I used? I used, at the time, Rammstein, Du Hast. Like, that's a pretty ballsy move. I mean, but it was catching on. I mean, music and culture was changing, it was being more acceptable. So I was stationed in Alaska, right? That's where my family's from, through military and whatnot. And in Alaska, it's really nothing, I mean, it's a beautiful town, but I was doing signs. What's crazy is that when I got my first job as a sign maker, sign designer, the guy I replaced was a sign maker, a guy who did lettering by hand. I replaced that guy, and his name was Tom. Country guy. His dog's name was Hitler. Funny, but I remember he came to me. When I basically came in and replacing him, he goes, "Hey man, good luck with this machine here." And it was the vinyl cutter. That's the machine that killed majority of that craft. When the vinyl machine came, it's like Uber showed up and taxis. Simple as that. You get a giant divide. These people don't want to learn the new technology, and these people, there's people that want to learn, people don't want to learn, and that's a big divide, and that eliminated a big, giant portion of people who did that craft, of the sign making. But so yeah, did that in Alaska, and I did it for about 4 years, and just doing local signs, sandblasting. And so I learned all my chops with pure sign making, from traditional, and basically combining the two and using modern techniques, right? Vinyl banners and whatnot. It's ridiculously expensive before. It charged a lot of money. I mean, now it's it costs like nothing, right? But so at the time, my brother was going to college in UNLV. And I have been a couple relatives there. I came from Manila, so it's like my dream was always to be on MTV and up in the up. I mean, the dream that was always sold to us as students in fine arts and advertising is to be like in McCann Erickson, Ogilvy, Leo Burnett, like strong agencies. And so I took the opportunity to move in, hit up my brother. I did like about 2 months of like triple jobs or save up money to move and went to Las Vegas. I already sent my resume a month in advance to everybody out there. To whatever sign shop I pulled up on Yahoo at the time, I didn't send my resume and so right when I arrived, I already had like interviews already lined up because everyone's looking for a sign maker, especially one that's like done more than a year, because sign making wasn't easy. It's definitely the battlefield, right? So when I came in here, I ended up picking up a job with Digital Pro Graphics, which was actually owned by a former Raider, Napoleon McCollum. And he did Back Control Mall. So he had big accounts. It was a fledgling business. It was definitely like, and with bananas is when I came in and I got hired, interviewed and I got hired. The guy that I replaced at Digital Pro Graphics was a typesetter. Older gentleman. Definitely older gentleman. Typesetter. That's like, and I didn't know how to use Illustrator or Photoshop as good. I was really crafty with like FlexiSign or basically the sign. But that's how I learned how to use understand vectors much better. Work within a wireframe setting, black and white. Understanding how to to design on that frame and learning how to knock out things, bring them forward, creating shapes out of shapes and being crafty with it, right? It was about half a year in, the company was about to fold, and then a bigger company came in out of nowhere called Supercolor Digital and bought them out. And the first thing they wanted to do on their agenda was, and I had no comprehension, I mean, it wasn't in my radar, but the other thing was convention, because obviously this town was built on convention. And right off the bat, they're like, "Hey, Jeff, we want to assign you to work as a satellite at GES, making signs." Basically, like, so they had an account with GES, which is the convention, the number one convention exhibitor services here, right? In expositions. So they put me in their flagship there as a satellite to basically lay out banners and stuff to be farmed to Supercolor, because they were the vendor for GES, a giant vendor. So I would basically, they would give me first they gave me about I like to say like 3,000 square feet, and then it just, and mind you, I didn't like it, I would like to say I was like a C level with Illustrator, and yeah, it was definitely one of these moments where when I walked in, the guy who was training me, his name was Hussein, he goes, "I thought I was just gonna hover. I thought I was just gonna like watch, for a day or whatever." He's like, "No, you sit in the gunner, sit in the gunner seat." "Okay, now let's see you do this." And I'm like, but I learned how to ask questions. It's better to ask questions than to finesse yourself into pretending you know the answers and just failing. But I asked them pretty good questions and reasonable ones, and kind of managed. And then next thing you know, I was getting much. I was doing pretty well. I was like, I was turning over a lot of projects to send to the printer. And what happened was they started adding more square footage. Now I was doing 10,000 square feet. GDC, SEMA, E3, AVN, every major convention that you can think of that's at the Las Vegas Convention Center. I was being part of that, and then so being fortunate enough to work with a giant printer, giant format printer at that, right? 16-foot banners, like just, being fortunate, I was able to make great relationships with people within my workplace, and they let me put art on scraps, and that's how I kind of got a bit more into the art scene here. So I could basically print things on canvas. At the time, nobody was doing that. No one was doing direct to sublimation printing, right? And I just started meeting other artists here. Then I met DJs and people that was in the nightclub industry, and I was doing logos and flyers for people, and word color around town. I made people look good.